allora is the only word that I can speak in your language, unfortunately, and I'm really sorry for that. We had some recent changes, unfortunately, again, and my dear friend Giulio asked me to take over to speak with you today about identity theft. Anyways, my team, my Italian team, is always supporting and is here for all your questions, for discussions, and happy to support. So I hope you can anyways enjoy that. And if you have any questions or if I'm speaking too fast, please let me know. So first of all, it's a real pleasure to be here because for those who don't know Group IB or for those who don't know me, Group IB is existing for more than 20 years, building investigations, threat intelligence, those kind of things in the market around the world. And in Europe, we are for almost 8 years active, and we started basically in Italy. So Italy is for us very, very important, and all of you, our partners, are really important. Therefore, we are here and would speak about that topic. As said, I'm leading Group IB's pre-sales team, and thanks a lot. So first of all, when we speak about that topic, we should speak about what we've seen in the past. And in the past, especially when we speak about identity theft, those kind of things, you know that we speak about standard attacks, like credential theft, like identity-based attacks and those kind of things. When we go into a bit more detail into that, you see that the picture is not clear. I hope you can see that. Not uncommon was that back in the days there was a phishing campaign. You were lead to any kind of authentication page. Your credentials were stolen and used for further campaigns. Quite easy to overcome that. We know that with the invention of two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, of recapture and those kind of things, so quite easy. What was next? Next was that also the attackers thought might find some new techniques to solve that issue and introduce further layers into such attacks. And what we did is basically we peeled up the attacks like an onion. And when you see that, it starts again with a basic phishing attack. They are out for, see that here, getting your, thank you, no, it's not working, right? Is it? Now? Now? Okay, yeah. Getting your personal data, payment data, phone numbers, those kind of things, and forwarding that to specific channels they're using, like Telegram bots, or also known Stealerlocks Cloud, Redline Stealer, those kind of things. And in a second layer, then using malicious APKs, also mobile Trojans, to get information about the second factor, overcome the second factor, and then dealing with whatever they are out for. So steal the money, take over your accounts, and so on and so forth. So how to overcome these challenges? Basically, we did what we always do in the cybersecurity, is adding data, is adding context. What you see here is basically a session that we captured on a mobile device. And when we go into a more detail, you see that there's one specific alert. And that was the technique that we developed based on the device, based on the fingerprint of the device or of the browser to identify that someone stole the credentials, installed a mobile Trojan or something like that, and took over the device. And with that information, it was quite clear, okay, someone is in charge of that device, of that account, and can do crazy things. So, for those who can't read that. Again, we somehow dealt with that. And still, they are not dumb. So they are inventing new techniques, like switching the fingerprint that we just detected. Because when we develop a detection technique, they develop an evasion technique. That was the first time that we see, especially for initial access brokers, that they are also building a kind of service model around that. You know that when we're speaking about ransomware operators, they are hosting panels, they are hosting services and support and those kind of things. Bablosoft will be interesting in some later slides as well, is also doing that for especially those techniques to steal devices, to switch fingerprints of browsers and devices. And browser fingerprinting was a quite common technique to detect attackers when they are out for identity theft, for example, in banking accounts or something like that. So you have always a password, a multi-factor, and then the typical behavior of the user and the browser that cannot be deleted. Even though you delete cookies, the fingerprint will be always the same. But after we saw those changes with those fingerprinting, cloning techniques and those kind of things, yeah, again, we are doing what we always do in cyber. We are adding more data to detect specific behavior, like geolocations, a device fingerprint. We checked credit cards and phone logs and those kind of things. And what I'm out for when I'm telling you about that is basically it's an arms race. They come with a knife, we pick out the pistol. They come with a nuclear submarine, we're inventing the A-bomb, whatever. That's not leading to something. It's the same discussion that we currently see when we're speaking about detection techniques like EDR, EPP systems, whatsoever. Every company is inventing millions into security prevention, but still we are on a top level of successful attacks at the moment. So that's basically the same behavior. So what does that say about the future and the future of identity theft, especially? We are facing the last 2 years, I would say, very interesting change, especially around mobile Trojans, around biometrics. Funny enough, the tricks in the biometric, right? And around device fingerprinting. Mobile Trojans. For those who remember the first iPhones, there was no mobile Trojan available. After Samsung and Android basically came up, we finally found the first kind of attempts to bring malware onto those kind of devices. But nowadays, what changed is basically the surface of those devices. We face multiple versions of weak Android devices with the rise of lots of Chinese phone providers, obviously, as well. And also iOS is more and more weak. So we are seeing more and more mobile Trojans that have real big issues when we are speaking about malware. Typically on that slide, I would show you a report and investigation that we did about Gold Digger, what is a very, very famous mobile Trojan because it is available on all mobile OS devices, so from Android to iOS, and had the capability to basically act as remote access Trojan and other things under the hood. But why I don't show you this one and instead show you these kind of micro metrics is because it's not the only malware that we found. It's raising. It's nowadays so many specific variants of mobile access Trojans that are existing out there in the world that we started building an TTP metrics just for fraud schemes. We started using, aligned with the micrometrics, basically the same setup, but with different techniques in it. Obviously, we're speaking about different things than classical cyber aspects. And when we follow these metrics, we see that there is a complete new exposure world when we're speaking about these topics. One example, and it's a nice example because we investigated that in Italy, is the device fingerprinting theft. There's an article you can read, a blog post, it's a quite nice one. What happened is basically we investigated that a couple of Italian e-commerce shops using Maltego. And for those who remember, Maltego had some very concerning CVEs in older versions. And those CVEs were used to integrate a Java snippet into the web pages and to grab the fingerprints of the users that basically go to the pages, log in, buy things, and those kind of things. And after they grabbed the fingerprints, they basically sold them for further account takeover activities. And this setup that we see here was again supported by Bablosoft. And as you see now here, they have changed their offering drastically. So they don't just offer a tool for fingerprint copying. They offer support, a premium service around that, a phone number, a complete MSSP affiliate model that makes it very easy for initial access brokers to collect the data, to get the data, to overcome specific authentication methods, and starting the schemes. So that said, what are the takeaways from that? And I see that I rushed a bit through that. Malware as a service, not the newest thing out there in the market, but especially when we think about ransomware as a service operators and how successful they are, we can think about also how successful initial access brokers with these kind of service models can be when they basically offer support, offer the tool set, and there is no technical skill set needed to start these scam activities and then think about the outcome for the specific users. I mean, it's not just that the fingerprint or the credentials are stolen. The impact is way bigger. The impact might affect specific companies where the account was shared with. The impact might be that the users themselves get blocked out of their mobile banking because the mobile banking fraud prevention system says you are not the user anymore who initially logged in. And the user says, hey, but I'm still the same person, but basically their identity was completely stolen in a digital way. So that is concerning. And coming back to that, the threat actors getting even more sophisticated without technical skill sets. So here is some concerning threats that I see in the future. And what are those threats? When we're speaking about that, and sorry for the slide, it's really a mess, but you get the slides afterwards and you can read through that carefully. I will highlight just the important ones. One is AI, always AI. Now coming back to a cyber topic. When we're speaking about IOCs, about detection techniques, AI is therefore concerning because we can build custom attacks within a second. And IOCs that should detect those attacks are basically getting useless. Because when I nowadays go to VirusTotal and check specific IOCs, and it is not uncommon that the IOCs have some, or the files, for example, the config files or whatever behind that IOCs have some hard-coded value in it. That value is, for example, the computer name of the company that just was targeted. So how much value can bring an IOC that is that targeted to a company to another one? Nothing. It's not reusable anymore. So the question is, when we have AI supporting these activities, how can we detect attacks in the future with IOCs? And now coming back to the topic around scams and fraud. What we see, and I need to go one slide further, what we see is that fraud and cyber is merging more and more because through those sophisticated support structures and as-a-service operators, they are not just building those infrastructure for a ransomware case or a fraud case, they're building that infrastructure for multiple cases. So when we investigate that infrastructure, we have a consistent way to detect fraudsters and cybercrime actors when detecting their infrastructure components. So IP addresses, C2 servers, Discord channels, Telegram bots, whatever. By combining fraud investigations and cyber investigations, we are able to basically dig deep into both worlds and combining that. So next time when you're thinking about new detection techniques, please don't just think about the mitra metrics and the TTPs that come with that. I mean, alone that are 600 whatever techniques, but also think about initial access brokers, think about scammers that have a complete different starting point, but the same outcome. Now going back again to the predictions that we made, there are some other very concerning activities around scam, especially when we're speaking about fingerprinting. Through AI, it is not even anymore needed to get a full fingerprint or a full profile of a specific user because we can synthesize those informations with AI. So we get a bracket of a user's identity and we just synthetically build the rest and use it for a fraud scheme. That's really concerning. So here we are currently investigating we are analyzing how to overcome the challenges, but that's something you should, I think, need aware about. Also, the weaponization of those frameworks, of those operators that are out there. Again, what we do is working with Interpol and Europol and just recently with the Guardia Civil to unmask those groups and to get those people arrested, but they are popping up like hell. So we should definitely build a stronger public and private relationship to share the data and to share then also the IOCs behind that infrastructures. I would say those are the most important things that I would like to share, and I'm quite in time, so I have 1 minute left if you have any questions. You can then ask also in Italian afterwards with my team. Thanks.